I think there's several things. Obviously, I think the biggest glaring thing was, Coach talks about it all the time, but just the lack of complementary football. I go to the two tremendous fourth down goal line red zone stops by the defense, and then we come back in one play and don't do our part of it. So that was very, very disappointing from that perspective. Some other things, though, I thought we did some things. I thought the quarterback actually played pretty well after I continued to evaluate and watch it. So that was really, really good. And guys kept competing on the outside and made some plays. It was great to see, if you look at DJ Barker and Keon Coleman and some of those guys step up and do what they did, that was very, very good to see. And I think that's really good things as we build to move towards the future. Yeah, certainly. I think, another critical point in the game to me was the first drive, that 3rd and 1. We pride ourselves on running the football, and that's what we need to do, and we didn't do it. And you look at it, I don't even know what the numbers are, but it was terrible. I think we have maybe 4 or 5 plays in the first quarter. And that was we didn't respond offensively to help our guys out defensively, and that comes with a combination of running the football and throwing it. But we need to start in the run, and yeah, I was disappointed in what we did there, and then the game became a little bit different, as things went on. But we didn't answer the bell initially to be able to do that, and that was disappointing. I think there was some draws early, where again, if you need to be successful moving the ball, we need to get some push. But it's a little bit of everybody involved in that piece, and so I thought those guys at times did some solid things, but that's definitely an emphasis for us each and every week. That won't change as long as we can get it done. Is we got to run the football and we get more movement. I actually thought he played his ass off. I really did. I mean, he kept competing, and he gave us opportunities. Certainly, you look at a couple of his turnovers, and if you really look at it, two of them in that game, and obviously the first game, he tried to do too much, in that piece. The other two in week 2, I think, were a little bit different. It was a little bit different play, and he can learn from that. But, I think he's starting to do some things. You can see some things change, how he handles himself in the pocket, and his eyes and those things, I think, are really coming along. And so I was pleased at how things progressed and how he continued to play and fight and did some real positive things. I think DJ has a really, really excellent skill set, with his ability, his size first of all, but then his ability to run, and he shows good ball skills. So kind of last week we moved him to a bunch of different places and did different things, and he made plays when the ball came his way. So I think it's that combination of that piece and then being able to utilize him in the run game, because he's showing really good physicality in the run game, and that's got to be important for us in our tight end room and how we approach that. And so I think he's been growing every week, and I think that's going to continue. So excited about his future. No, we talked about it, and I love his competitive spirit. I think the one you're referring to is, was 3rd down. And but also, and I think he was trying to get it, but also maybe in the relationship of where he was, he probably could have protected himself too a little bit. So yeah, it is a fine line. Obviously, if we're in that competitive situation where we got to go get it, he's going to go do it, and he's that mentality all the time. But yes, I do think he can help himself there a little bit, maybe take a little bit of some of the shots that he's taken off of himself. I give a lot of credit to Elijah. He really does a great job in our running back room as one of our leaders, and his work ethic has been tremendous. And I think as time has gone on, that continued to rise up, and we just felt comfortable with where we're at and what our situation was there to give him a few opportunities late, and he did a nice job with it. So he knows things very well, and he does a good job, so I can definitely see him being involved a little bit to a certain extent. Obviously, it's game by game, but definitely be involved as we move forward. Yeah, we certainly are. I think Payton does a good job in those 2-minute settings. I think he has very good understanding of things, but we're going to start with the physicality piece and running the football. That's where we need to start. That needs to be our focal point. Obviously, each game, as you can see, games change even throughout the game sometimes, and even though that might be your focal point, it might change or it might go the other way too. So, but no, where we'll start is running the football, and that's what we need to do. And so we'll complement both. In this day and age, as I've always said, you need to do both very, very well if you're gonna be good and really beat some quality teams. And so that's what we're gonna have to do moving forward. I think it was very valuable for Noah. Noah is really, when I look at Noah, I see a very poised QB, and he carries that right into the game on Saturday. He knows things very, very well. He's just continued to grow. So to see him go in there and execute at that level was really, really good. I feel good about him and where we're at in that room, and he does some good things. So I think it's very, very important. I mean, we talk about transparency all the time, and particularly in the quarterback room. I mean, I talk about calls I made, and we talk about their performance. So yeah, I think that's the type of program we want to be in, and we're all trying to hold each other accountable. And so that's where it has to start. And so yeah, we're just as much accountable as anybody else. It certainly, I think, because obviously he's a pretty dynamic individual, and so it certainly affects it to a certain extent. But also I think we also have schemes and you have plays, and that it comes down to the cycle of a play and running each play effectively. And so we feel good about our other players. So does it change some things? Does it change some focal points? I certainly think it does. But yet at the end of the day, it's not like we're taking a bunch of things. It's not like a full-scale shift in things. So it's definitely there, and it is part of the situation, but we feel like what our scheme is, what our philosophy is offensive, we're still able to do what we need to do. I just think he's grown so much since he's arrived, and in the receiver, I mean, he's strong, he can run well, and the one thing I see is just he's playing physical, not only with his body and trying to get open, but also with his hands. We talk about that all the time. The 2-point play was a tremendous play by him, and just showing his strength as physically as overall, but then also in his hands and his ball skills. So I just see those things, and he has the ability to run, he has the ability to make plays, and so that was great to see him come on like he did. Yes, I think that's a huge piece for us too. Montori was coming on last year, and then kind of dealt with some things there from an injury piece, but he's getting stronger and better each and every week. So I definitely see him working in the mix a little bit more as we move forward. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he's involved from a standpoint, just sometimes with, I don't know how many plays. He had a ton of plays on Saturday, but just for whatever reason, the ball didn't find him, and that's partly, again, what the defense does, a little bit what the call is at times, and the combination of those two. Some he was at the focal point, but based upon maybe what the defense was doing or what happened, it didn't come that way. But so he's very much involved, and so I don't see that changing. It's just sometimes in a game, the way things go, it kind of ends up that way. I think, a little bit sometimes us at the quarterback spot, including me when I played it, sometimes and he has such a competitive spirit. Sometimes you try to do a little too much, like I kind of mentioned earlier, the two interceptions, the one in the first game and then the one last week, really was really trying to do too much, make that kind of next big play. And so, that's why I thought he really took some steps last week in the situation when we were talking. I was always like, okay, let's just run the play. All right, we don't have to get this all back in one situation. I thought he really handled that well, and he executed that very, very well. So I think it was a combination of those things a little bit early, that kind of put him in that situation. And, but I think he's growing from it, and I saw improvement last week. I don't know. That's a great question. It's a great question. I'm glad I had all those written. We had talked about all those. Yeah, so the game is just so different now. I mean, shoot, I don't know how many we add up, but yeah, it's a great question. Good. Anything else? Awesome.